Hey everyone, welcome back. It feels like every time we turn around, there's some new AI development that everyone's talking about.
Yeah, keeping up with it all can feel like a full-time job, right?
Definitely. But that's kind of why we're here today. You guys sent in this amazing list of 10 must-learn skills to stay ahead in the AI and tech world, and we had to dive in.
It's a really interesting mix of skills, too, not just the hardcore coding stuff you might expect.
Right. Like AI for lawyers. I never would have thought of that, but it's on the list.
And AI for boosting team collaboration, even.
Definitely shows how AI is impacting, well, pretty much every industry now.
Exactly. So, ready to break down this list and figure out why these skills are so important?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Okay, so the first thing that jumped out at me were these two courses on generative AI. One's from Google Clouds, seems like a good intro, and then there's one on debugging generative AI from Deep Learning AI.
Yeah. That's really smart to pair those two together because, generative AI is the thing everyone's buzzing about right now.
Yeah, for good reason, it seems like. Can you remind us, though, like, why is it such a big deal?
Well, think of it this way. It used to be that AI was mostly good at, analyzing data, finding patterns. But generative AI, it can actually create new content, images, even music.
Right, like those tools that can write different creative text formats, like
Mhm.
poems and scripts and stuff.
Exactly. Or even generate those crazy realistic images from like just a text description.
It's kind of freaky how good they're getting.
It is. And that's why it's so important to understand not just how to use those tools, but also how they work, how to, troubleshoot them, debug them.
So that second course on debugging generative AI, that's all about, like, going under the hood.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it like this. Anyone can learn to use a tool, right? But if you can actually fix it when it breaks, improve it, make sure it's not, say, generating biased content. That's a whole other level of expertise.
Right, you become way more valuable. Okay, that makes total sense. Now, moving on, we've got this whole section on, like, real-world applications of AI. There's one on building AI-powered products from Michigan, then another on recommendations with vector databases from IBM, and then one on AI for, get this, software teams from Deep Learning AI.
Wow, yeah. It's really interesting to see the shift from, the theory of AI to the actual practical application.
Right. It's not just a buzzword anymore. It's like, how do we actually use this stuff to get things done?
And each of those courses you mentioned kind of tackles a different piece of that puzzle, like that IBM course with the vector databases. That's fascinating.
Could you break that down a bit? Vector databases?
Sure. I mean, we're all used to regular databases, right? They store information. But a vector database, it's different. It can actually understand the relationships between things.
So it's not just like storing raw data, it's understanding what that data means.
Exactly. And that lets you do things like create those super personalized recommendations you see everywhere
Yeah.
on like Netflix or Amazon or Spotify.
Okay, yeah. That's why they always seem to know exactly what I want to watch or listen to.
Right. And it's only going to get more sophisticated as these vector databases get better.
So definitely a skill worth learning then.
Ugh.
All right, moving on. We've got a couple of courses that seem a bit more foundational, like Google's Technical Support Fundamentals and IT Security.
Yeah, at first glance, they might not seem as flashy as the AI stuff, but
But I'm guessing they're still super important.
oh, absolutely. Think of it like, learning to walk before you can run or like building a house. You need a strong foundation before you start adding on all the fancy features.
Makes sense. And IT security, that's probably even more important now than ever, right?
Definitely. With all the data we're generating, all the systems we rely on, cybersecurity is just essential. And that's true whether you're working directly with AI or not.
Okay, so these foundational skills are still the bedrock of everything else. Got it. Now, this next one, I gotta admit, I was kind of surprised to see it on the list. Prompt Engineering for Law, offered by Vanderbilt University.
Oh, yeah. I saw that one too. It's pretty cool.
Law and AI. That's not an obvious combination. Can you explain what that's all about?
Sure. So prompt engineering is basically how you talk to AI. You give it instructions or questions in a way that it understands so you get the output you want. And it turns out that's super useful in the legal field.
Okay, so lawyers are using AI to, like, do research or something.
Yeah, way more than that. They're using it to research case law, draft contracts, even predict how a judge might rule in a case. It can potentially speed up a lot of legal work.
Wow, that's a game changer. Okay, last but not least, we've got a couple of courses on data. One's on preparing data for analysis using Excel, that's from Microsoft. And then there's one on data structures in Python from University of Michigan.
Two very different approaches to data, but both super valuable.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. How do those two fit together?
Well, think about it. Before you can do any fancy analysis with data, you got to get it organized, cleaned up, make sure it's usable.
Right, like prepping ingredients before you cook.
Exactly. And Excel is a great tool for that initial data prep. Lots of people know how to use it. It's pretty versatile.
But Python is more for like the hardcore data analysis.
Yeah. Python's a programming language, and it has all these specific libraries for working with data. So if you really want to get into, data science or software development, you'll want to learn Python.
Okay, so Excel gets the data ready, and Python helps you make sense of it all.
You got it. It's a powerful combination.
So it seems like this list really does cover a lot of ground, from the fundamentals all the way to these really specialized AI skills.
Yeah, it gives you a great sense of what's in demand right now and, what you need to learn if you want to be a part of this whole AI revolution.
Totally. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
The one thing that keeps blowing my mind is how fast things are changing. These skills are hot right now, but who knows what the next big thing will be. The key is to just stay curious, keep learning, and you'll be ready for whatever comes next.
Great advice. Thanks so much for breaking all this down. This was awesome.
My pleasure. Always fun to talk about this stuff.
And to everyone listening, keep those skill suggestions coming. We'll keep diving deep.